kind of talk about last week's game as a tale of two halves.
Yeah.
First half, offense comes out. First two drives, they come down the field and they put the ball in the end zone. Second half, a little bit of a different story. Let's focus on that first half. How happy were you with the way the team played, especially on those first opening two drives?
Well, we were doing well. I mean, we were able to move the ball whenever we really wanted to at that point. We were converting a third down away in the late second quarter from possibly going in 20 to 14. But offensively, yeah, we were establishing the line of scrimmage. We were making the throws and the reads that we needed to make, that type of thing. But when you go back and you look at the whole thing and the tale of two halves, we never punted in the first half. They never punted in the first half. So whoever had the ball was moving it, and so it was even matched all the way through, and the score dictated that. And so when we got to the second half, all of a sudden we went like a 3 and out, and defense we never forced them to punt the entire game. So now we're playing catch up because every time they got the ball, they drove down and scored, and except for one time they had a missed field goal, or would go for a fourth down and not make it. But we couldn't answer, but that was the biggest thing in the first half, was being able to answer them with whatever we did. They came back, they did, and we came back and answered them as well. But it really up front, establishing line of scrimmage is what helped us the most in terms of being able to do that and eliminating the mistakes. In the second half, obviously that was a different story.
You told the team afterwards not to forget the feelings that they were experiencing after that loss. How do you think the team's going to embrace that and hopefully, move forward into this next game against Sierra and then the season as well?
Hopefully they use some of that anger and disappointment and spin it in a positive way for a very good matchup this week against Sierra. I mean, they're 2-0. This is going to be their home opener. We've gotten them the last 3 years, so this is going to be a good matchup for us. I think personnel-wise and scheme-wise and program-wise, it's a good matchup for us. They're a very good team. Jared Daniels is a very good running back in their backfield. They've got a couple playmakers as well that can help them out at the quarterback position. But our guys need to use, like I said, that anger and disappointment that we've had, from Friday, because, like you said, it was tail two halves, and in the second half it was completely, out of our realm, and everything that you worked so hard to do in the first half kind of seemed to go by the wayside in the second. So we don't want to have that sour taste in our mouth long enough to where it brings us down. We want to be able to use it somehow. And so that's what we're going to focus on this week. We're very excited about coming out to practice today. It's, as a staff, we saw some really good things against Escalon that we want to build on, and we're going to do that. And there's obviously things we need to fix, as in every game. But, the things that we did well, we're going to really focus on those and use that as, a little bit of fuel for the fire for this Friday, and the Friday after that, I mean, we're going to keep that going, because we don't have a chance, as we've had in the past, to possibly see an Escalon team in the playoffs. The way the playoff system is now, we won't see them at all the rest of the year. So, we're going to try and reschedule them to keep that going, because I don't want the last game against Escalon to be a loss. So we're going to try and reschedule this thing and get it going for years to come. But, we're going to use everything we had, all that anger and disappointment, for Friday.
In contrast to the Week 1 win over McClatchy, even though that was the score indicated a blowout, 42-0, there were things that weren't clicking on the team. You saw those things kind of the team kind of come together a little bit more at the start of this game against Escalon. How good do you think this team can be if everything's clicking, everyone's on the same page, defense and offense, and those little turnovers and drop passes and things like that, can get fixed? Yeah,
well, it's hard to tell so early in the season, being it's only week 2. But there were some times in the first half we looked very, very good, and Escalon is a very good team. But the best thing, like I said, going back and looking at everything, the best thing that I think came from it was our ability to establish the line of scrimmage on offense and move the ball up front with our offensive linemen and our running game. Doing that against a very big physical team like Esquan, and their defense really was eye-opening at first. To do that in week 2, and at the same time, it was kind of expected going in. Our running game and our offensive line were going to beat our core, but it was a pleasant surprise to see it already happening. In week 2. We want to build on that, and that's what we're going to try and focus on for the rest of the years. Focusing on who are our core guys, our strengths, our athletes, and that type of thing, and use that to progress through the year. How we're going to end up based upon all that is it's hard to tell, because so many other factors come into play with injuries and that type of thing and depth. But the team can be very good. Anybody, I think, along our schedule could be very good though. So it's only a matter of how much do they want to put into it, and how much can we knock out those little mistakes, those little things. And I'm hoping it's just youth is what's killing us right now. We had a drive. We went 3 and out in the first drive of the second half. We get the ball the very next possession. We fumble it away, then we throw a pick. Those things have to be taken care of. We can't. You're just giving the ball away at that point. And when our defense isn't slowing these guys down and forcing these guys to punt, we're playing catch up quite a bit. So as we get older, and more game experience, because that's what we're really lacking in terms of varsity experience, is a game experience. There are guys that have been playing football a long time, but varsity level, they're still maturing. So after week 2, I like where we're at. It was a disappointing loss, but I think we can definitely get a lot better.
Does it seem we're already talking about going into week 3? Does it seem like the season's going by fast, or basically how fast do these games come and go?
They come by really fast. Because you only go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday full padded. We go helmets on Thursday, and we got a game on Friday, and then that's it. So you're really talking about 3 practices, 3 full bore practices a week in pads. And so you got walkthroughs on Thursday, and so that's shortened down a little bit. And then Friday's game time, and we're off for the weekend. And so it happens fast. As opposed to when we're in camp earlier. In the preseason, we have scrimmages, and we're going Monday through Friday, then throwing a Saturday practice. That's 6 days in a row of practice. We've already done 2 weeks of a game season at that time. With 3 practices a week. So they go fast. They go real fast. It's week 3 right now. It's we're getting ready for a tough Sierra game, and next time we'll be talking, it's going to be moving right along quicker and quicker and quicker as we go.
Final question. How important is it for your team, a younger team, the psyche, to win this game on Friday against Sierra?
Very important. Anytime you have a letdown with a loss, especially at home, when and then of the magnitude that we had it, having it so close in the first half and right there, and then come back and slip up in the second half and walk away with a loss at home, that's going to hang with you for a little bit. And like I told these guys, after the game, I would prefer it to hang with them a little bit, so they can use that for the rest of the year and use that for week to week. But we're going to go into Manteca with Sierra, and it's going to be their home opener. Like I said, they've got us we've got them in the last 3 years, so they're 2-0. They're looking good, and they came off a good win against a tough Granada team. So they're excited. They're going to be up for this game, and so we're going to need to make sure that we can't dwell on the negative so much, the negative aspect of our last loss, but the positives that came from it, and some of that anger and that disappointment. Use that in any way that we can for Friday.